that they suddenly began panicking when I discovered the Egyptian planes. They did what we now term a pre-bunking, right? A pre-bunking is when you say something casual and then they send out like a full fleet against you to not even actually debunk you, but they're just so extreme in not debunking you that they even lie about what you said. And that lie tends to actually foreshadow something that they don't want you to know. So I'll give you a perfect example. On October 11th, when I infamously tweeted about the Egyptian military plane that left Provo.
Oh man, Candace. She's got so much to say, kids. So much to say. Oh, what's going on, guys? How we doing tonight? Hope you guys are well. Good to see you all. This is the American Fire Show with Ace. I'm your host. I will be taking you through the wildness of the last few days. Man, I tell you what, it's like conspiracy theory heaven, or conspiracy theorist heaven. It's like you've died and gone to heaven lately. Everything's popping off. We got Epstein over here. We got Trump's assassination over here. We got Candace going off on Charlie Kirk stuff over here. TPUSA. Man, it's wild. We're going to break it all down tonight. I'm going to tell you guys what I've been seeing. Very interesting stuff. I got to say, I'm not so impressed with what Candace has been saying. Again, we're going to be going through the issues there. We're going to go through Tucker's expose of Thomas Crooks, which is the attempted assassin of Donald Trump. What so little was known, and what Tucker exposed is a major bombshell. And then, of course, we got to get more. The Epstein emails are the gift that just keep giving. We're learning more and more every day, and now that Trump is on board, it is going to ramp up fast. Tomorrow we get the House vote on that, so wild stuff. And then we got to talk about the markets. Markets look like they are ready to crash, and we are getting crazy warning signals. I'm going to show you guys those tonight as well. Friends, I got a loaded show for you, so I'm excited. Let's get started in just a second. Before we get going, though, please hit that like. Please hit that subscribe. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Help the show out. Get it out there. If you're on X, if you don't mind reposting and sharing, it takes one little click, and you make me big happy. You make me so happy. Thank you so much. Let's say hey to some peeps over here. They deserve it. They've been waiting. I saw you guys waiting in the chat, you beautiful people. So let's say hey to some peeps, do some shout outs, and then we will get moving. Waka Waco numero uno tonight. What's up, buddy? Rum Dog, Steve Bernard. How's it going, brother? Rum Doggy and Rum Dog. They both come in. You guys like the Rum Dogs. Linda Telly, Toe Cramp, Anastasio, Dave R. the One, What to Do, R. Will, Kim Wiley in the Twilight Zone, U.S. Tahoe, Cass Sink, Johnny Strayhorn, Steve King, AJ Trader. What's up, brother? It's been a little bit. Mike Mishler's here. Just Mike, Scott Volkovich. And Mike Mishler worked 21 hours of the weekend, didn't get paid for it. What? Dude, you got to talk about that. Accelerate Growth says, hey, Ace, your shows are great. I share. Thank you very much, man. I appreciate that. Everybody who shares, I greatly appreciate you. I'm just a little guy who's got a dream of doing a little news show on YouTube that people can actually learn from. So thanks so much. AZ Tropic, what's up? I'm not as big as Candace, and apparently, well, we'll talk about that in a minute. But according to Candace Owens, if you don't like Israel, they take you out, which is funny because her and Nick Fuentes and all these people critical of Israel, they seem to be doing better than ever. I don't know. She's number one podcast in the world right now. They're not taking her out. So what do I know? Meanwhile, people like me who will criticize Israel when appropriate and call out the Israel tards when appropriate, we can't buy viewers, So I don't know. Candace, looks to me like somebody else is getting the push. I don't know. Why would you get getting that push? Who knows? But Candace was up to it tonight, so we're gonna start with the Owens. CJ Yukon, what's up, brother? What's up? We're gonna start with the Candace Owens, because why? Why not? she's popping, man. She's everywhere. She's the biggest podcast in the world. And tonight she announced that she was going to have the bombshell of bombshells. Everything was going to change after tonight's show. That's what Candace promised us. And, well, did she deliver? Well, maybe I should let you guys be the judge on that. So Candace tonight went out and basically told the world that there are these Egyptian planes that were basically maybe following Erica Crooks. They said, according to Candace, there were 68 overlaps over the last 3+ years of these planes. Now, Candace didn't take the time to explain the details on overlaps, but that's okay, because depending on how you take it, it can go one way or the other. But that was part one. So these overlapping, what does it mean? What does it mean when all the planes are? Is somebody following Erica? Were they plotting this for a long time? Is Erica Kirk and TPUSA in on it? That seems to be what Candace keeps getting at. And I'm sorry, I always look at who's got the most to gain. Candace had a falling out with TPUSA some years ago. She maintained her friendship with Charlie, but the TPUSA, she didn't like those folks. And Candace has let's just say she can be a spiteful woman. When she left Daily Wire, she did everything she could to take them down. That was when she decided to go all out on Israel and the Jews. And why not? Daily Wire's owned by Jews and Israel, Israel first types like Ben Shapiro. And it seems like she, we've talked about Candace many times before. She kind of ebbs and flows, which what is the most helpful to her brand. Let me put it that way, to be as nice as possible. And tonight in the clip I just played you guys, I mean, she was calling out those people who were pre-bunking her, as she said it, which means that they were debunking her before they got the full information. But some of those pre-bunking her are Steven Crowder and Allie Beth. Now, I'm not a big fan of Allie Beth, barely follow her, but Crowder I'm a fan of. And calling out Steven Crowder as if he's some shill for Israel or anti-truth kind of shill type, I think that's pretty insane. I gotta say, Crowder has his issues. If you saw his stuff with his wife, you know it. But at the same time, I've never caught Crowder in a lie. I can say that, and I don't watch him all the time, but this stuff comes down the pike. Crowder's never one of those that is listed as somebody to watch out for, but you never know. I mean, maybe it's possible, but Candace is just enemies here and there, and all over the place. But so, like this person writes, no one's panicking because she found the Egyptian planes. We're critiquing her because there's a great deal of material with which to work. This person thought the Egyptian plane connection's unhinged and unlaughable, but I don't know how I feel about that. So I did some research on the planes, and I took it to Grok because it's like, Grok, I don't know I don't know a lot about plane overlaps. I don't know. She said it was a 0.00001% chance of this happening on accident. And I was like, maybe, because I'm open. There are definitely questions to be had about the Charlie Kirk murder. We want to know. There's a lot of information that's not coming out. Now, I'll be honest. One of the reasons a lot of that information is not coming out is because the FBI is still got to take this to trial. And until this goes to trial, we're not going to get all the information. This is one of the reasons why Erica Kirk and others are really pushing to get the trial on camera, because apparently the word is, and Tim Pool, I'm going to source Tim Pool on this, Tim Pool has got sources. Good luck proving Tim Pool wrong when he quotes a source on this stuff. Tim Pool does his research. The man says that coming down the pike is that the evidence against Robinson is so overwhelming that once the case starts, it's going to be without a shadow of a doubt, it was this Robinson kid that shot Charlie Kirk, which I believe. And I have no reason to think otherwise. Now, the one question I have is this part of a larger thing to take out Charlie Kirk? And I mean, obviously, we have lots of reasons to believe it probably is, but that doesn't mean it is. Now, what Candace keeps throwing out here, and I'm sorry, so far, I have been able to easily debunk, may be the wrong word, because I didn't bring enough evidence, because she didn't have enough evidence for me to debunk. But her allegations, her statements are pretty easily logically broken down, because she's just throwing crap at the wall and seeing what sticks. And so if she actually has something, I want to know. Because, Candace is a brilliant woman. Now, I think her brilliance is mostly in creating drama right now and self-promotion. But she's brilliant. And if she is onto something, I want to know it. Although I do have a hard time trusting somebody who says that Charlie Kirk appeared to them in a dream and basically said, Candace, 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 avenge me. I don't know. That's something that's a little hard for me to bite. But I looked it up, and I had Grok explain to me the overlapping and if it's possible. And this is what Grok spit out to me. So it said, there's a variant of the birthday problem for the probability calculation, or hypergeometric distribution. There's some big words. With many independent opportunities, even rare events cluster. It says, if the strict criteria expected random overlaps, and it does some math here, 2 to 5 overlaps could be expected by chance over the years. Getting 68 to 70 would be extremely unlikely. So this is what Candace is alleging. It would be extremely unlikely that these Egyptian planes would overlap with Erica's planes so much in all those years. But there's a problem. There's a little hole in the theory. If there is looser criteria as typically used in these theories, which means they just happen to be in the same city within a week, or shared routes with all the traveling that Erica Kirk would do, TPUSA would do, the probability then jumps up to 5 to 20%, with expected overlaps easily 50 to 200 plus times in that time period. Which means, and this says, entirely expect the odds are just under or around 100% of happening by chance or mundane patterns. So there you go, friends. I mean, Candace, and listen, I didn't have time to watch her whole show, so if I missed where she explained this, I'm sorry. But I watched a lot of it. And in what I saw, she didn't dig into the information date by date and what she meant exactly by those overlaps. So this is a trick that somebody like a major influencer can pull on people, where it's like they're lying, but they're not really lying. They're kind of taking a little facts over here, a little facts over there, and they're putting them together to make a great narrative. And then when you break it apart, or you really pick it apart, they could say, oh, well, I was just doing my best off the information I had, which is technically true. But I'm going to tell you, one thing or the other is that they usually do this on purpose, and occasionally do it just because they're sloppy. Knowing Candace and the fact that she has 100% been nonstop going after this with the Charlie Kirk stuff, making her now the biggest podcast in the world, making her millions. Literally almost every show she puts out, she is making hundreds of thousands of dollars at this point, with her millions of viewers, with her super chats, with everything she's getting. She is making bank off this story. And at the same time, she is helping ruin what could be the midterms. Because she's out there saying, until I have all the answers I want on this, I will not be voting. Well, when you have millions and millions of people watching her, supporting her, buying everything coming out of her mouth, you better believe that some of those people are going to take her initiative as well. And these aren't lefties watching Candace. These are moderate right to MAGA types. It's not the lefties that watch Candace unless they want a good laugh. She burned that bridge a long time ago, and the left never forgives. But, let's look at a couple other things Candace had to say here. So in the clip I played, she wrote, "I got the time zone wrong by a couple of hours and they completely reacted." Well, overreacted. Candace, this isn't the first time you've gotten time zones wrong. This happened the first time you talked about the Egyptian plane. And I got to say that it's not an overreaction, because when you're making extremely tough allegations, alarming allegations at, let me mention, the most important group for getting out the vote in America for the right, Turning Point USA, that Charlie built. The reason Trump won the last election by so much and so easily is Charlie Kirk's Turning Point USA, which had 50,000 new charters requested once Charlie died, which was about to blow up. And now Candace is trying to single-handedly take it down with her influence. Do you know what this kind of stuff does? Do you know how influential this can be to college students when you throw this stuff out there and you're basically saying that maybe Charlie's own people conspired to murder him? Were cheating him? These are massive allegations. Even saying his own wife knows it all. If you throw that stuff out there, heck yeah, we're going to piecemeal every little bit of information you throw out there. We're going to scrutinize it because it deserves to be scrutinized, because you better have the receipts and you better not make mistakes, because we're fighting for the country's future. We're fighting for the future of our youth. And if TPUSA is what Candace is claiming it is, well, we need to know, but we can't do it if you're making mistakes, and we can't make those decisions off bad information. So Candace, you better stop being sloppy if you have the receipts. So she's either outright shilling right now for whoever, maybe just for her own clout, or maybe it's for somebody else to try to disrupt MAGA, or she's just propping herself up and doing this she doesn't care who she leaves in her wake as long as she's successful out of it. Either way, Candace Owens, there's some serious issues here. And, enough people are starting to call it out that are respectful. Again, Tim Pool got together with the Quartering this week. In fact, today they did a whole show just on breaking this stuff down and the mistakes she's making and the things that she's saying that they outright know is not true, such as there was no autopsy, which they called her out for, and it's already been debunked several times over. But as the Quartering writes, J.D. Vance himself called the hospital and personally expedited it to try and avoid speculation. It was done. You can do a FOIA if you want to disprove it, although Candace won't do that. It will get disproved. Along with her sloppiness, I mean, you got examples like this tonight, where she says Calvary Chapel in Orange County, the lead pastor named Mission Viejo, convicted of abusing 2 girls. Well, Mission Viejo is the name of a city, not a person. So even if it is true, which she, here's the receipts right here. She's got this
Viejo
headline. Okay, fine. You called that one out. Good for you, Candace. You can't be this sloppy or you screw this stuff up. So I don't know where you guys stand on the whole Candace Owens thing. I'm getting annoyed because this is piling up now and she's getting more and more views by the day. And if you continually be this sloppy or this wrong, it's going to be a big, big problem. The Quartering, who's got sources just like Tim Pool does, It says, once the Tyler Robinson trial starts, we're going to see levels of cope like never before from all the experts like Candace and others. Ian Carroll. Ian Carroll. What was released today destroys the overwhelming majority of conspiracy theories working on compiling now. He just did an excellent video where I believe it's the bodyguard, one of Charlie Kirk's bodyguards was on a podcast today. I think it was with Sean Ryan, and explains everything that went down, including the gory details of holding Charlie with his gaping wound and trying to keep it closed as he gets emotional. So crazy stuff from eyewitness testimonies. And guys, it's really, really important. We call this stuff out and we go after it, because look, this is a land in a landscape of grifters right now. And I never, when I started doing the political stuff, when I started getting into this to help Trump get elected, to kind of show you guys like the trends I was seeing, to bring hope to everybody about the fact that Trump was coming back, all the stuff I was seeing that was really hopeful for our country, fighting the left, exposing their lies, exposing the media. When I signed up to do this and started going through all that, I honestly didn't anticipate that the grifting from right-wing sphere influencers, how awful it would get and how blatant. It's getting disgusting. And I know right now it feels like 30 to 50% of my content is just exposing these people. But it's important because they are on the inside. These are the people that are going to cost us the future if we let them. If they sway enough people. And that's why we need everybody to get educated on this stuff, to do the work so that these lies aren't spread. The PSYOP right now, the left is so defeated, they have no way to get in. Nobody believes them anymore except the people in the blue sky bubble. That's it. They're all over there in their bubble, but that's not even bleeding to the middle right now. None of it from the left. Nobody listens to the mainstream media anymore that's influenceable. It's all, and so it comes down to the influencers who promote the skeptical, the us against them proofs, mentalities, conspiracies, all that. And, plenty of conspiracies have turned out to be true, but it's ramping up with the lies. And these people are literally just trying to destroy us from within. And the reason is, some of them are doing it to just get rich. And I don't know which one's which. Candace makes a lot of sense if that's where she's at, because her husband's filthy rich. And she would have, just with her husband's money, she would have what she needs behind her to get out there and blow up, because she's already used Daily Wire. She's already used TPUSA to build up her profile. So yeah, with a little bit of resources from her husband, she could become bigger and bigger. And it wouldn't be too hard. And then she can build her brand as I'm against everything. I'm the rogue agent. That's what she's doing. So I could see Candace just doing it on her own. She might not have anybody behind her. God knows she doesn't need the money. Her husband's worth $250 million. But there's plenty of others who are either deep state ops, like Ian Carroll, who has no background to speak of. You can't find anything about him on the internet. Or Nick Fuentes, who came up from 18 into pretty much nothing, although he did get propped up by people like Alex Jones, but now is leading a movement of young men to indulge their anger and frustration at a system that's been against them, at the feminization of education, everything that's been against them. They're harnessing that anger, and instead of growing into real men, they're listening to the little gay boy who has no girlfriend. He claims to be a vegetarian, who's just hating on women and minorities and the Jews all the time. And This guy has got literally hundreds of thousands of young men watching him, learning from him, seeing him as a leader. You know who was very similar to that? Was a man named Adolf Hitler. The only one difference is that Hitler at least had some war hero stories from World War I, but he was similar. Kind of a simp, not good with the ladies, little, terrible diet, skinny. Yeah, there are some similarities there. Now, obviously, I'm not calling that, saying it's a one-to-one, but I am saying that anger is being used in a very unhealthy way. And if men don't rise up and start helping young men actually see what being a real man is, they're going to keep running after these Nick Fuentes types, these Andrew Tate types. But Fuentes is much more dangerous than Tate. Tate, he's a typical old school male influencer type that just tells little boys, the coolest thing in life is just get strong so you can get laid. It's not great. It hurts a lot of women along the way. It ultimately leaves you a little soulless. But what Fuentes is doing is trying to get a movement of people that are ready to just burn it all down. And that's very dangerous. And he's rising right now with all this other stuff. Now, I'm not saying don't platform or anything like that, because some of the stuff he, just like Hitler did, speak some truths. But my point is not just to pick on Fuentes. I'm saying we're seeing it all over the place right now. Some of it on lower levels. And it's really hard to know who to trust. And we're seeing a war go on in the Republican Party right now, which I've been calling out for a while, because we also have the neocons rising back up. Shapiro, Levin. And we're starting to see people take interesting sides. Like what's going on with Marjorie Taylor Greene? Well, I'm going to keep covering all this stuff and do my best to sift through it. Some of them I'm not 100% sure on, but I will do my best to keep weeding through all this for you guys and picking it out. But I can tell you right now that at this point, I am 99% sure that Candace is a bad actor. What I don't know is if she's doing it for herself or if she's doing it for somebody else. But all she's doing right now is causing pain, dissension, and demoralization. Nothing Candace is doing right now in this whole thing is positive for anybody but her. And that's how you know she's a problem. Thankfully, it's being picked up. And I'm going to do at some point, we're going to have to go through everything she's done. I've covered it enough on my show. So for those of you guys who've been watching enough, you guys know it. But I am glad that some others are starting to pick up. I found this post tonight by this guy. I never talked to this guy. He has 13,000 followers, so he's doing something right. But he wrote tonight, people told me to watch Candace Owens because she had information that would literally change everything in the Charlie Kirk case. So I did. About 5 minutes in, she claims she has superpowers and knows the truth or when someone's lying. That's a very Candace Owens thing to do. She cried about Steven Crowder for a few minutes, and then she rants about Egyptian planes already debunked. She claims anyone who proved her wrong or pointed out that she can't tell time is a government plant out to get her. Now, this is something that Candace keeps doing. Everybody's the enemy with her. Everybody's a plant. And again, I was listening to, the Tim Pool quartering talk. Jeremy Hambley, his show's The Quartering. He does good stuff. And they're both independent, which I've always really appreciated about both of them. Neither of them have been built up by anybody. And one of the things they were saying that was so funny is that, they're in the influencer spheres. They know a lot of these people. Tim Pool's always interviewing them. And they made the point that Candace keeps saying there's this enemy out to get her. And yet she keeps just getting bigger and bigger. She's not like Charlie Kirk. They killed Charlie Kirk. There's been several they've tried to take out, deplatform. They even did it with Fuentes. But Fuentes, you can think of 100 reasons they would do it other than just criticizing Israel. But people like Candace just keep getting bigger and bigger. Tucker, very critical of Israel, just keeps getting bigger and bigger. And Tim Pool, critical of Israel, but at the same time, he's like, nobody's ever contacted me. The quartering said the same thing. No, they could be lying. But these guys are much smaller than the big people in the MAGA sphere. These people are much more independent, much more middle of the road. What reason do they have to lie about this stuff? Unless they're covering something. But I'll tell you, I've been watching Tim Pool for 5 years. Never once has he shilled for Israel. But he also hasn't gotten Israel tarred either. And to me, that's one of the great IQ tests. Are you full on Israel tarred? Israel rules the world. Israel's behind everything. Israel's trying to take everything out. Well, that's stupid. That's why I call you Israel tarred. But the opposite is also true. I'm never going to be Ben Shapiro and say Israel first. Israel over America. I can't go there. I can't go Israel's perfect. Israel's only ever defending itself. No, Israel does terrible things. Again, both sides of the extremes are the IQ test. How stupid are you, or how shilly are you? That's the IQ test. And the people I know who are the most based, who seem to have the best head on their shoulders telling the truth, and are the ones in the middle. And that's the great IQ test right now on the right. There's some others, but that's one of the big ones. She goes on to say the Egyptian planes are actually following Erica Kirk. There's a big change there from Charlie to Erica. Bombshell evidence she has an anonymous pregnant woman sent her an email saying the planes were actually following Erica. And this is true. This woman sent her a spreadsheet of these overlaps. So she sent her followers on a wild goose chase looking for rental cars. She mentioned she has so much more info to reveal tomorrow. Keep stringing people along. This is where you just know, gotta keep getting them views, baby. Hey guys, have you ever heard me say on my channel, hey, we're halfway through this story right now, but you'll have to wait till tomorrow until I keep going? No, every night I finish my stories. I bring you guys what I'm going to talk about tonight. We finish that subject. Sometimes I go late, and then the next night I got new stuff. That's an honest broker right there. I'm never going to string you guys along unless we come across something that's just so long it's going to take me 4 or 5 hours to go through it. That's the only way I'd ever do that. But this is, her show's an hour and a half tops. So she just keeps pushing it. But there you go. I mean, that's, and by the way, how did Candace get started? In marketing. And as a fellow marketer, somebody who is a marketing director, as my day job, I can tell you, this is a sale. This is how you keep the upsell going, folks. That's not what you do when you're actually trying to dig into the truth. So, so anyways, there you go. That's where she is. And here she is just an hour ago after her show. She's the big victim. The worldwide Zionist mafia has been explicitly and implicitly threatening me and Tucker for a year now. She's throwing her name in with Tucker because Tucker people still trust. Because, for anything Tucker does that brings out questions or maybe is, a little inflammatory towards MAGA, he at least for the most part still hasn't seemed like he's doing it for promotion. It's more like Tucker seems to just like challenging stuff through his interviews and letting people speak to let you make your decisions. I'm okay with that. And you know who else is okay with it? President Trump, who said just today or yesterday, let Tucker talk, man. Let him talk. Tucker's still got clout with Trump. And as long as he does, I'll trust him. I'll trust him because that's the big man holding MAGA together. But Candace, no. And it's just like she uses Charlie Kirk. She keeps using everybody else to pull herself up. And it says, why is our government allowing it? The entire world is tuning in on where this is happening. Are we? Are we, Candace? Really? If Israel's after you so hard right now, how do you just keep getting bigger every single day? How are you getting richer every single day? As Tim Pool said today, and I love that he said this, he said, it seems like the best way to get views right now, the best way to get rich right now online is to be anti-Israel. And I got to say, I've noticed that myself. Ian Carroll, anti-Israel, shot up the charts. came out of nowhere. Boom. Started going anti-Israel, got on Rogan. Now he's huge. Nick Fuentes, I mean, he's made his whole career off of it. And he's just getting bigger and bigger now that's going for it. And Candace, well, welcome to the club, Candace. You're right there. But you guys are the big ones. Again, Charlie was in the middle and more on the pro-Israel side. And they killed him, Candace. But you're anti-Jew, anti-Israel, and you're doing just fine. Huh. I don't know. Just a little food for thought. Some questions, guys. I just got questions. I got questions. Let me catch up with the chat here before we go on to the next segment. So, Candace is building her victimhood. Absolutely. CA Human says, Candace like a soap opera. Let's see, as the plane tracks. Candace did this with Kamala. She did it with E.T. She's all over. Whatever is working for her right then. Let's see. Alan, what's going on, man? I missed your first message. Alan in the chat. Well, you doing all right, Alan? I'm sorry. I missed what you said earlier. Let's see here. Bird, here's my theory regarding narcissist Candace Owens. She's baiting Erica Kirk into a suing war like she did with the Macrons. Maybe, but with the Macrons, it just never went anywhere. We never got answers one way or the other, honestly. Angel Kovac says, biggest stock market crash in U.S. history coming. We'll see. There's definitely signs of some big. What's up, Nels? Rumble's the place for $10 a month. No ads. What a blessing. Amen. Yeah, hey, a Rumble Premium. It's been pretty good for me. All right. Andrew Tate's less harmful than 99% of rap. That might be true. Bushidoki says, I don't know if Nick and Candace are feds or not. One thing's for sure, it's a lot of noise. That is absolutely true. Moses says, what's going on, Barbara? All right. Yeah. Called making that money. That's right, Alan. Got to make that skrill. And, it's sad, but true. By the way, if you guys do get a chance to listen to this, if you want to hear more, like some actual good stuff on the Charlie Kirk stuff, substantial stuff, here's a clip of, this is what it looks like. But Brian Harpole, the head of security, Charlie Kirk, he's rejecting claims the teams have ties to Israel or Mossad, which I get it. They will do that. They have to do that one way or the other. But at the same time, like, sometimes people are telling the truth. So anyways, but he goes into a lot of stuff on the Sean Ryan podcast. So it's good stuff. It goes in deep. All right, let's move on though, because man, we got a lot to talk about, and I've already used up the first half hour. So guys, we're in a crazy place right now. Here's Trump today on Epstein. So yesterday, I did a little video on this, but yesterday Trump came out and said he's for it. Hey, he pulled the rug on the Democrats. He went from being, it's a big ol' hoax, which, the hoax is not that Epstein himself is the hoax. It's the hoax is that the attacks on Trump about it. That's what Trump's calling the hoax the whole time. That the narrative behind the Epstein stuff trying to take him out is a hoax. Anyways, that's been the big push. Don't vote for it. This is a Democrat craziness. And then yesterday, boom, shocked the world. Republicans, I want you to vote for this. Let's all vote for it. Let's get it all out there. The rug pull is here. And Trump knows exactly why. Here's a quick clip of Trump explaining himself.
Something you posted on Truth Social last night. You urged House Republicans to vote in favor of this Epstein release bill they're going to vote on tomorrow. I just want to be super clear on your position. Do you want to see that pass the Senate? Would you sign that bill if it gets to your desk?
I do want to. Here's what I want. We have nothing to do with Epstein. The Democrats do. All of his friends were Democrats. You look at this Reid Hoffman. You look at Larry Summers. Bill Clinton, they went to his island all the time, and many others. They're all Democrats. All I want is for people to recognize the great job that I've done on pricing, on affordability, because we brought prices way down, but they're going way lower, on energy, on ending 8 wars and another one coming pretty soon, I believe. We've done a great job. And I hate to see that deflect from the great job we've done. So I'm all for it. You know, we've already given 50,000 pages. You do know that.
It's Democrats. It's all Democrats. All his friends were Democrats. And then he names names, calls it out. I just love it so much. And he went on to say, no matter what we give, it's never enough. With Kennedy, we gave everything, wasn't enough. MLK, we gave everything, it's never enough. I believe we've already given 50,000 pages. It's a Russia hoax all over again. And it just keeps building. Now, I've covered a lot of this, as you guys have known, since these emails came out last week. The evidence against the Democrats is damning. It is damning, and there is a lot of it. And I have every reason to believe that what's been held back is the worst stuff. And now that Trump is moving forward, now, I think there's 2 ways to look at this. A, this is what is being narratively pushed out there right now. It's that Trump really didn't want it out there, and now he's just caving, and he's just going to roll with the punches, see what happens. I think that's insane. Anybody who knows Trump well has got to know that that's crazy. Then there's people like me who believe he strung this along so that they would get sucked in and then unleash it at the right time. I actually think that's where we're headed, that Trump let this go as far as it could so they'd get in deep, and now their names are all tied to saying they want it released, and now it's going to backfire on them. That's what I believe. There's one other thought, and that's that Trump was waiting until the FBI and DOJ could comb through it all. And, his name's not going to be redacted because his names are already all in the files. But Trump might have been like, I don't know what's in there. I don't know what they say about me. I don't want, or my friends or people I know. And so I want it all combed through so I know before I give the go ahead. So that's another thought. Either way, the fact that he's releasing it, it's a win-win no matter what. It's a win-win. And now we're going to see it go through the House. It'll pass tomorrow with flying colors. I'd be shocked if 50 House members vote against it. Like, it's going to be a massively overwhelming vote in favor. And now with Trump signed on to it, it's going to go to the Senate and should pass there pretty easily as well. And so this could move fast. We could see this all signed off in the next month. And that's when things could get really, really interesting. By the way, some interesting stuff came out today. Here's the GOP Oversight Committee. Democrats got caught red-handed spreading a hoax about Trump and Epstein. They misled the public, lied about witness testimony, doctored documents, and are scrambling to cover up. We have the receipts they don't want you to read. Let's start with former AG Bill Barr. Democrats claim Barr could not clear Trump of wrongdoing after his deposition. What did Barr actually say? Barr said there was no evidence. And if SDNY had anything on Trump, they would have indicted him. They didn't. Here's the actual words. Jasmine Crockett asked him, you have no direct knowledge of any of the now young women or women claimed. Barr responds, I never was told by Southern District they had evidence to support any claim like that. And then Alex Acosta. See, these are the depositions that have been going on behind closed doors with everybody who's supposed to be involved in the Epstein Files. And I wanted to broadcast these, but they've been behind closed doors. But here's the good news, is that now the Republicans are starting to release it. They're releasing the good stuff. So then they did Alex Acosta. Democrats tried to smear Trump by linking him to Epstein via the 2007 case. Acosta crushed their narrative. He testified he never spoke, emailed, or had any contact with Trump about Epstein. None. Never. Robert Garcia. So the entire time, you never once spoke to Trump. The entire time, let me be more clear, I did not speak with Donald Trump before I was considered for Secretary of Labor. Now remember, Acosta is the guy who gave him the sweetheart deal, the prosecution. And Acosta's words were, they told me, this is what he's told them. He said, they told me that Epstein belonged to the intelligence agencies, deep state. And they were like, you can't put him behind bars. So that's why he got that sweetheart deal once upon a time. But Acosta says he never spoke to Trump about it. Then the Democrats last week leaked 3 cherry-picked emails out of 23,000 pages and made their redactions to hide exonerating facts. They blacked out Virginia Giuffre because she publicly said she never saw Trump doing anything. We've already talked about that. Another Democrat reduction for their hoax. Redaction. Prince Andrew. Why? Because the redacted context changes the email. They were fabricating a smear campaign, not telling the truth. This is crazy. This is wild from the GOP Oversight Committee, piece by piece, calling out the Democrats on this and saying, I mean, this is a big allegation, but it's true. I mean, this is wild. This is ramping up. Fabricating a smear campaign. Those are big words right there. Then they lied about the redactions. About who did them. Crockett and others went on CNN pretending they had no idea who made the edits. And I played this last week, but I don't want to listen to the hood rat right now. You guys get it. But we released everything. This was a counterpunch that is really blowing up in the Democrats' faces, where we're seeing all the crazy emails coming out showing Epstein literally trying to stop Donald Trump from becoming president. Finding out that Epstein was one of the original TDSers. He was like patient zero, except instead of like a monkey or a bat with COVID spreading it around as they tried to make us believe, it was Jeffrey Epstein spreading TDS everywhere. You get TDS and you get TDS, giving it to the Democrats here and there and giving it to the media. Well, the media, we're going to have it no matter what, but you get what I'm saying. So that's what and then New York Times, Democrats claim the sheer volume of the release on Wednesday was intended to disorient. The same Democrats who are lining up behind Thomas Massie saying, release it all. What are you hiding? And so the Republicans are like, hey, let's not hide it. Here's 23,000 pages and emails. And they're like, whoa. That's too much. You're going to confuse people. These people are insane. They are insane. So it keeps getting worse. Tim Pool did this segment today on the Democrat getting the texts from Jeffrey Epstein while interviewing Michael Cohen. And friends, if you haven't seen this, this is worth watching the couple minutes.
This is crazy. Look at this video from the New York Times. This is nuts. This is absolutely wild. Newly released documents show during the hearing, Epstein was giving advice to the Democrats to go after Trump. The Post reviewed multiple video feeds from the hearing that matched the texts.
Obama was president of the United States. And while we were once driving through a struggling neighborhood in Chicago, he commented that only black people could live that way. Attorney-client privilege, yes, I will turn it over.
You, as my friend Mr. Meadows pointed out, misled this committee even today in a written submission that contradicted your testimony. You have suggested you are going to review that. Did you review?
Whoa.
Are you going to review it in our next break to correct the record, yes or no?
Yes.
Question, you helped out the president's campaign or were involved in the campaign as a representative, as a spokesman, even in your words today. It was your idea for the campaign dating back to 2011. Is that accurate, yes or no?
Yes.
So in this video, you can see
Mr. Weisenberg and other individuals, Ms. Rona. Who are those individuals? Are they with the Trump organization?
They are.
Are there other people that we should be meeting with?
So Alan Weisselberg is the chief financial officer.
this is massive, ladies and gentlemen. This just scratches the surface. But if this rabbit hole goes deeper, what we have is false allegations against Donald Trump, a criminal case that ultimately was brought forward for the first time in history with no unanimously decided upon crime Trump was attempting to commit. That is, it's complicated. And I have since corrected the record, though I'd call myself half wrong. The story is, as it pertains to the falsification of business records, for which this question is about in this testimony, the jury did not unanimously decide that Trump was actually trying to commit any particular crime, just that maybe there was some crime somewhere. It's never happened before that they've done this. And the only reason they did was because the charges against Trump, misdemeanor at best. Jeffrey Epstein, according to the Washington Post, was colluding with the Democrat to get this testimony, which ultimately led to a fake conviction. Sounds to me, ladies and gentlemen, we have a strong probability, should this rabbit hole go deep, Epstein, deep state, working with deep state politicians to go after Donald Trump.
Whoo! Man, guys, I don't know about you guys, but that gets me amped. It gets me amped because this is crazy and we have it. I mean, it's evidence now. And you better believe, I mean, Trump's already put on, said to investigate all this, but it's going to only ramp up. And as the Epstein files come out, this was the teaser drop. The 23,000 emails. This is a teaser. And we've already found out that Epstein was straight up colluding and coaching Democrats in hearings live on what to ask in order to get Trump busted. Setting up the entire Tish James nonsense. This is crazy. And I get to say I called it. I'm just saying, last summer, guys, I told you so. This is how it was going to work out. And now that it's here, oh, it feels so good. Man, I mean, the Epstein stuff is insane. And I do believe, like Steve Bannon said, that this could unravel the deep state because the people, now, we spent all summer, okay, before Trump got in, MAGA was like, Trump's going to get in. We're going to bust open the Epstein files. Awesome. All the Trump people were on it. You know what the Democrats were saying before Trump got elected, before all this happened? The Epstein stuff is a conspiracy. There's nothing there. Blah, 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 blah. It's a nothing. They didn't care about it. Then last summer happens and all of it became, why won't Trump release the Epstein files? Why won't he release it? He must be in them. And all of a sudden, the entire left-wing sphere of influencers, media, and Democrats in power became the most hyped up, we want the Epstein files released people ever. No longer conspiracy. There is not one person in America who could ever claim it's a conspiracy again and dismiss it because everybody has now taken sides. The world is watching. And now with the world watching and people on the left, people in the middle, people on the right, all watching, it's blowing up in the Democrats' faces. This is massive and it's only going to get bigger. What Tim Pool just showed you, that live coverage of that woman receiving texts from Epstein, that's just the beginning. Can you imagine how much worse it's going to get for them? I'm very excited. Already we're seeing fallout. Larry Summers, former Harvard president, Treasury Secretary for Bill Clinton, worked in the Obama administration. This is one of the big economists on the left, has now announced he's stepping down from all public commitments to rebuild trust after documents showed he asked Epstein for advice on pursuing an affair with female mentee. Well, that's not all, but that's his statement. That's not all it showed, Larry. We saw how you thought of women in those emails. It was disgusting. And Larry's been rumored in there a long time. Announcement comes less than 1 week after 7 years of correspondence between Summers and Epstein were released. Documents showed Summers and Epstein continued to exchange messages until July 5th, 2019, 1 day before Epstein arrested. The fallout's already happening. Larry Summers, bye-bye. You will never be a public figure again. It's ruining careers. Now, we got all the deposition stuff. Well, guess who's not showing up? Bill and Hillary Clinton. They're refusing to show up for their depositions, for their hearings about Epstein. Wonder why. Now, Steve Bannon and Peter Navarro went to prison for not showing up. Is this going to happen here? Oh, man. Sure would be fun if it did. I doubt the Republicans have the spine to do it, but we can hope. We can hope. But this tells you enough already that they're just not going to show up. Pathetic. Absolutely pathetic. We have more coming out every day. New email came out showing Reid Hoffman sent Epstein an interview he conducted with Ezra Klein. Oh, Lib Ezra Klein, the whole abundance agenda. Funny how these guys are all connected to Epstein. By the way, if you use LinkedIn, just know you're supporting this guy. He's the creator of LinkedIn, and I wonder what LinkedIn was, what he really created for. It makes you wonder, doesn't it? Just connecting businesses, huh, guys? Meanwhile, this guy's one of the most associated with Epstein that we know of. Disgusting dude. Absolutely gross. And finally, today, David Schoen, who was Epstein's attorney, came out today and said if Epstein had any dirt on Donald Trump, he would have had great leverage in the criminal case against him at the time he died. The fact he unequivocally said he had none ought to shut down the false claims otherwise, but facts are no obstacle to political attacks. This is Epstein's lawyer, just so you know. So, I think he might know a couple things about that. Wild stuff. Wild. So tomorrow we get the vote on the Epstein Files. And I believe now that Trump has signed off on it and told Republicans to do the same, there's going to be no opposition. The Democrats can no longer back out. If they try to back out now, oh man, that'll be a political nuclear bomb for them. They can't back out now. They're in too deep. And I told you guys, the reason I thought the House Democrats were so gung-ho about this and going to get it done is because they believed it would die in the Senate. Because as long as Trump was fighting against it, the Senate was never even going to take it up for a vote. And even if they did, he could have vetoed it. And there weren't going to be enough Republicans to overturn a veto. So they figured they could vote on it and be dead in the water. But Trump called the bluff. And now they got to see it all the way through. Beautiful. It's when you go all in with no cards, baby. Don't do it. Let's see. Lochtefeld says Trump could release the Epstein Files by tomorrow by executive order. That's actually not true. I read about it today. There is a reason he can't do it. I can't remember what it is. I think it's because some of them are currently being used under investigation. But it's not the same as like old files. So it's actually not true, Lochtefeld. I've seen the breakdown. I'll have to go do the research though. Alan says more of Epstein being a Democrat mole than anything else. Maybe. I don't know about a mole. I think Epstein was being used by the deep state to help the Democrats when it behooved him. Helped whoever was a deep state candidate. Let's see what else. Hey, Jonathan Welton in the house. What's up, buddy? It says darn right. Context between Epstein and Bannon make me uncomfortable. I got to agree with you there, Lochtefeld. So we've known for a long time that Steve Bannon had hours and hours of interview footage with Epstein that was never released. And, I never thought twice about it. And then I read the emails between him and Bannon. And I got to say, they were a little disconcerting. There are some things about Bannon that, I think I love Bannon. But over the years, every once in a while, there's something that makes me say, man, are you all the way good? So I don't know. I'm not making any accusations. I want to believe Bannon's completely great, but I agree with you with what you said. The Epstein emails with him were a little odd. Bushidoki says, could Elon be part of the game purposely saying Trump's in there? Oh, I think he might be. Yeah. Rumdog, why did he get Hillary? She must not have gotten the memo. I love it. David Schoen's legit. He is. Alan Krenz is why you should never lie. It just keeps piling up. That's right. But in politics, sometimes those lies get covered up for 50 years and you're gone by the time they get exposed. So they've been okay with lying. But now we have a different sheriff in charge. Lockfeld said LinkedIn's owned by Microsoft since 2016. Hoffman's on the Microsoft board to this day. Well, there you go. That tells me all. Microsoft, Gates started. I know Gates isn't running it anymore, but Gates, Epstein, major connections. Hoffman, Epstein, is what's his face? Owner of the Clippers, Steve. I don't know if he had any connections, but he's had his own rumors about him. But a lot of the tech guys. But what's interesting, Elon never in any of these files, which I think is very interesting. And there's a few others. Thiel is in them. Peter Thiel is. He has a couple strange conversations. Not enough to say it's anything super dark, but it is. It does raise questions. Anyways, Zuckerberg, I didn't see Zuck in any of them yet, or maybe I did, but it just wasn't a bombshell one. Anyways, yeah, it's interesting, but definitely a lot of tech guys. The word was Epstein loved to be around the tech guys, also just because it stroked his ego, because Epstein wanted everybody to think he was super smart. The dude was a narcissist, crazy, hardcore narcissist. Brett Weinstein has a story of meeting him and how he was trying to sound really smart to Weinstein. Weinstein's like a genius biologist. And he was just like, dude doesn't know what he's talking about. So, and that's the thing. It's like he goes, Epstein was so involved with so many people that he made a lot of connections, and not all the connections were bad. And what I mean by that is not all those people who were connected with him did anything wrong. And some of them didn't even know what was going on until later, and then they cut it off. So, you can't do guilt by association when the guy knows everybody. It doesn't work. And in these socialite circles with the big people with lots of money, lots of fame, lots of influence, they all meet each other, the good and the bad. And so guilt by association doesn't work. You have to do the work. You have to produce the evidence. And that's what the Democrats and the left, their entire case against Trump is guilt by association. But the problem is, if you do guilt by association with Epstein, it looks so much worse for your side. And that's the game they're playing, but they don't care, because their desire, their drive to ruin Trump is they're the Joker in freaking The Dark Knight, man. Let it burn. Everything burns. Everything burns. It's like, I'm like a dog chasing, I want to know what to do if I caught it. They're that. They've gone to true chaos. And that's why they're so dangerous, because they'll take down everything with it. And that's why you have to be so careful with how you deal with them, because they don't care who they hurt. Yukon says Bannon doubles in the dark side to work both sides. I could see that too. He could just be, Bannon just doesn't give two F's. He'll just mess with whatever, just as long as it moves things forward. Yeah. So I could see that too. It's not a lie if you believe in George Costanza. That's true. Thank you, Brett. We need a Costanza line right there. Although Mike doesn't appreciate that. Mike's a terrible liar. Alan Krentz, you get mixed up with lying, which ones you used in the time. Well, that's very true. Yeah, eventually you get caught for sure. Okay. All right, guys. Well, you guys ready for the next big conspiracy theory area we got to go into? We got to talk about Thomas Crooks. So Tucker Carlson did a bombshell on Thomas Crooks. This is a guy who tried to kill President Trump, shot him in the ear. Thankfully was not successful. My mouse sucks. Hey guys, for Christmas, if anybody wants to buy me a new mouse, because I'm too lazy to go get it myself, or too busy, I should say. That's the truth. You can send me one. I'll take it because my mouse is dying. But we knew nothing about this kid. Tries to kill Trump, shoots him in the ear, kills another man, shoots 2 others, I believe, and then he's taken out. And after that, they won't tell us anything except that, oh, he was a right-winger. He was a pro-Trump guy. There's nothing about him on social media. These are all the lies we were told. And, you know, this was the FBI before Kash Patel was in there. So I will say that. A lot of people are giving Kash and Dan a lot of crap right now. But again, guys, I just want to remind you over and over again, it's very important to remember this. We might have good guys in charge of these agencies right now, but these are agencies with tens of thousands of employees, tens of thousands of agents, and you have one of 2 choices. You can either completely disband it. Well, there is a lot of, let's say it's 50-50, good agents and bad, which actually most people believe it's actually more. It's just the guys more at the top that are bad. But let's say it's 50-50. And you can't know exactly who's loyal and who's not right away. It takes a lot of time to figure that out. So what some people wanted everybody to do is just go in and completely disband the FBI. Well, if you do that and you start completely over, think about the months upon months of people dying of fentanyl continuing, child sex trafficking, but trafficking units and porn, gangs of child pornographers sharing stuff online that would not be caught. You end up killing a lot of the good work that does go on. And I think the guys that got in, knowing the task they have with the crime that's going on in our country right now, especially because of the open border and then also the lax standards of the 4 Biden years where stuff was just allowed to run rampant, you get in and you're like, we can't afford to lose everybody. So they have to go the slow route and weed it out slowly. Well, that means that in the meantime, you are going to have a few people fighting you from within as you're doing stuff, trying to hide stuff from you, keeping things, making things a little harder to get done, pushing the paperwork off a little bit, whatever it is, it does slow down things. At the DOJ, they fired so many people already, weeding out the bad apples, that they're actually so short-handed that the FBI is frustrated with the DOJ because they're giving the DOJ so much evidence. This story came out 2 weeks ago. The FBI is frustrated because the DOJ can't keep up with everything they're being given. And so the DOJ, because the DOJ takes that evidence and then has to build the cases. It's slow, it takes time, and they're short staffed because they had so many corrupt lawyers working there. They weeded them out, at least a lot of them, and it slowed them down. If you do that with the FBI who are on the ground, it's even worse things happen. People suffer. So you got to do it slow. I don't think Kash and Dan are doing a bad job at all. But I recognize the gargantuan task they have ahead of them. And when this happened with Trump under Biden, the FBI buried it. They buried a bunch of stuff. And I think one of the reasons that independent journalists like Tucker are able to find this stuff is because they can go do the work just like the FBI could do. But Tucker's going to reveal it. Whereas the FBI might have hidden it. They might have lied to Kash this whole time. Who knows? This is hard. We don't know what's going on behind the scenes, guys. We don't know. And at worst, I would say this stuff not coming out yet is a mistake by Kash and Dan Bongino. That's worse. That's as far as I'll go. I don't think Kash and Dan are trying to hide anything on purpose. At best, they don't know what they're being duped with, or they didn't know this. It slipped by them, and because they're busy with other stuff. And, and now they'll know, and hopefully we get more from it. But watch this 3-minute segment of what Tucker was able to dig up. It's pretty crazy stuff.
agrees with the right wing. Suddenly, he sounded like an MSNBC commentator. In February of 2020, he called out Trump's supporters as, quote, too brainwashed to realize how dumb you are. I mean, literally, you guys sound like a cult at times. That same day, he called Trump and his supporters, quote, racist. It was an amazing transformation. That April, during the peak phase of the coronavirus lockdowns, Crooks wrote, quote, it seems that you people don't understand that sometimes public safety comes before your personal rights. Are you not willing to quarantine one member of your family to save the rest? If so, you are not a patriot and you aren't protecting anything. Around this time, the new left-wing version of Thomas Crooks became very critical of conservative media. He said at one point, quote, going to a Chinese New Year's party in America isn't putting you at risk for coronavirus, because, believe it or not, viruses don't spread through race like Tucker Carlson probably told you. That May, as state officials across the country overhauled election systems to promote mail-in voting, Crooks attacked Republican concerns about voter fraud as, quote, ignorant. 4 months later, in August 2020, his tone had shifted even further to the left. He said, quote, I believe the outcome will be irrelevant. In response to the same video, Thomas Crooks issued what sounds a lot like a digital manifesto. Quote, in my opinion, the only way to fight the government is with terrorism-style attacks. Sneak a bomb into an essential building and set it off before anyone sees you. Track down any important people or politicians, military leaders, etc., and try to assassinate them. Any sort of head-to-head fight is suicide, and even ambush or surprise attacks likely aren't going to end well. These remarks were especially notable because they came at the final phase of Crooks' YouTube commenting. At that point, a new character emerged into the conversation, a user named Willie Tepes, who started pressuring Crooks to commit violence. For example, quote, if a gun and a badge is all that is needed, then authority obviously comes from the barrel of a gun. We have more guns than they do. There is no way we can avoid a war at this point, so you better just get used to the idea. We have nothing to lose and everything to win. And the alternative, a global police state, is unacceptable. Nothing in life is simple, but that is no argument against doing it. So who is this Willie Tepes? Unfortunately, we don't know. The FBI hasn't made any mention of him in public, although they certainly know he exists. Just days after the shooting, somebody screenshotted Tepes' YouTube account page, despite the fact he had very few followers. To the extent that he can be traced online now, you can find his username being used on a foreign Antifa website. Those sites link him to the Nordic Resistance Movement, which has been designated a terrorist group by the US State Department. That's all we know. We do know, however, that Crooks' online footprint abruptly ends after his encounter with this mysterious figure, Willie Tepes. Regardless of whoever Willie...
Crazy stuff. He's basically was groomed by an Antifa guy to become a radical and make the decision to try to kill Trump. And then all the other crazy stuff we already know happened there. The roof not being seen, the fact he walked on with a rangefinder. I mean, just wild stuff. I mean, going through it right here is a great breakdown. Here are the findings. Crooks attempted to assassinate Trump. FBI claimed Crooks acted alone, had no online presence or digital footprint. That was a claim of Biden's FBI. Described Crooks as a right-winger based on 700 YouTube comments, include anti-Semitic, anti-immigration, violent themes. Investigators obtained and verified hundreds of Crooks' YouTube comments. He was highly active. Crooks searched for Trump over 700 times on YouTube, along with terms like Jack Ruby, mass shootings, chemical reactions, bombs, napalm, Molotov cocktails, civil war, Nazi-related terms, and why gays need to go. But his political views evolved over time. 2019, he was a Trump supporter, but then COVID changed everything. Crooks shifted to criticizing Trump. It's again, man, just as an aside, just tells you again how powerful the COVID psyop was in getting Trump out of there. And think about how much worse it would have been, though, if he hadn't been in there and they had locked us down and they had controlled what we were seeing more on media. We hadn't had Trump out there trying to break stuff up, tell us kind of a different narrative, bring to us different opinions. I mean, man, it's crazy all the stuff that came out of COVID. Crooks interacted with Willie Tepes, linked to Nordic Resistance Movement, a U.S. State Department designated terrorist group. I mean, it just gets crazier and crazier. Evidence includes videos of Crooks dry firing a handgun with metadata confirming Crooks' accounts deactivated or possibly cleared by the FBI. His YouTube comments still archived despite his account being suspended. FBI accessed Crooks' phone, computer, and encrypted apps in Belgium, New Zealand, and in Germany, but withheld details from the public. I mean, it just goes on and on and on. And it just shows you guys like how much of this is these people are just groomed. These boys groomed online, their anger directed, their frustrations taken out, most of them on SSRIs. But they find which dulls their emotions, so they don't feel the empathy for other people. They just deal with their own frustrations and want to take it out. And then we got a story today from Miranda Devine, New York Post, that he might have been trans again. We might be dealing with another trans shooter. We got Jack Posobiec sharing from Post Millennial. Thomas Crooks went by they, them. Linked account reveals furry fetish. I mean, this is just like Tommy Robinson. Now, it just tells you, like, these kids, man, they're trying to find identity. They're raised in, even if their parents were good parents, which I think they were in the Tommy Robinson case, they still allowed the schools to raise them by spending 40 hours a week at these public schools. That's how Robinson, he started, they said he went super left wing by the time he was 16, indoctrinated, getting into the LGBTQ cult, just the craziness. And then this kid staying at home during COVID lockdowns. I mean, just probably got way too online. I mean, look at him. This is not a kid who was out there playing football with his buddies in the park. I mean, odds are, just by looking at him, this kid is a computer geek, probably left alone to just be on his computer all the time, getting radicalized online. Sad, sad stuff. Now, Megyn Kelly today, she believes that the FBI got info from Thomas Crooks, or gave it to Miranda Devine to head fake people to get away from Tucker Carlson's story because it looks so bad for the FBI. I don't know, but Megyn Kelly's pretty smart. She likes Tucker. So we'll see how this goes. There's going to be a lot more coming out on this, but again, this is a major problem. And if you believe in like the MK Ultra stuff, that definitely could be playing a part in this. Obviously, the CIA or whoever, other intelligence agencies, MI6, Mossad, whoever, they are always evolving their tools, and you better believe they're infiltrating these groups on Reddit, getting into the comments on YouTube, stuff like that. I mean, you guys would not believe the bots I get, the shilly comments I get on both YouTube and X. It is wild, especially when I criticize any of their babies. I'll definitely get some for criticizing Candace tonight or talking about Nick Fuentes. Anytime I go after this stuff or calling out the Epstein stuff, I get so many comments. Somebody wrote about it in my Discord the other day. They were like, dang, we were looking at Ace's, like the bots on his channel, man. That's crazy, those comments he's getting. It's all, 50 to 60% of social media now is bots. It's bot farms producing stuff. Well, a lot of that is intelligence agencies. They are trying to control the narrative. It's part of the psyop that's been going on from the right the last couple weeks to make us feel demoralized, to make us feel like MAGA's falling apart and Trump's failing. They've timed it perfect, didn't they, with the elections and everything that just happened. It's happening. The bots are out, man. It's not real, a lot of this stuff, but it will, to weaker minds, to those not paying attention, to those that feel that they're in a community, it can make you radical. It can change you. There's a lot of frustration out there. A lot of frustration in the youth. A lot of them have been given a raw deal, and then a lot of them that haven't been given, well, they were given a raw deal in another way. They might have great parents. in some ways, but those parents might trust doctors, and those doctors might prescribe SSRIs to a 9-year-old kid who, felt a little anxiety or nervousness, just like normal kids do, but then got diagnosed by some sick therapist. And then this kid's now on SSRIs from 9 to 15, totally checked out emotionally to be an easy kid. When I was a kid, they started putting everybody on Adderall. Not everybody. It was a few kids. It was a couple here and there. But now it's all the boys. They're drugging you to ruin your life. And this is a lot of good families because they were told to do this by their doctors. Not everybody's woken up yet. Well, it's not just that. It's the job situation gets harder and harder. The parents aren't, my kids, my 17-year-old and my 15-year-old cannot wait to get a job. So my 17-year-old's been trying really hard. They want jobs so much. They want to work. All their friends, most of them not interested. And that's a parent thing. But these kids, they live their lives online now and on their phones. It's very, very sad. And a lot of these parents, I know them, they're good people, but man, they took the easy route because it gets really easy to let your kids be on screens all the time or on some drugs. Alan says with the FBI, if you have cancer, you cut it out, same as FBI. Well, Alan, my point was with the FBI is that you don't know. They might not know where all the cancer is yet. That's my point. Retinol. What's retinol? I don't know retinol. Okay, a couple last things, guys, before we go. So I'm going to talk about the markets real quick because they are definitely looking shaky after the last 2 days of trading, and what I think is going to happen, possibly, and then a couple quick stories for you. Let's get into it real quick because we are running late tonight. But first, okay, you want some red flags on what's coming in the markets? Michael Burry closed his hedge fund, saying he could no longer time the markets. Major warning sign. We talked about that last week. Then SoftBank dumped all its NVIDIA shares out. And then Peter Thiel just sold his entire NVIDIA stake. Guys, if Peter Thiel completely, he's worth like $20 billion, dumps his entire stake of NVIDIA, you're seeing some of the biggest, best traders, or in Thiel's case, tech guys in America, and now they're just completely bailing out. Funny enough, Burry put all his puts into Palantir like a few weeks ago. Went all in on puts on Palantir. But the point is this. They're showing us something. The AI bubble might just be about to burst. We're supposed to get NVIDIA earnings, I think, tomorrow. And that's going to be interesting. They're touting them up. But you got to remember, at this point, in order to keep this market up, to keep this bubble going, they can't just do good earnings. It has to be blowout earnings. And so if it's even just within expectations, watch the market react. Bitcoin just dropping right now. $5 billion in the last 7 days, crypto liquidations. 28% down from its high. Bitcoin is under 91,000 today. BAM's models tracking this, seeing all the sells, says a hidden retest of the next couple of days. It could get down to 88,000. And that's just the beginning of where this could go. If they're liquidating out Bitcoin, a lot of times they're doing that to cash out and put it back in the markets, maybe help themselves keep the market up a little bit, their positions. They're liquidating, they're moving money around. A lot of these short sellers have been getting killed, and now it's the hedge funds. 2 have gone out of business in the last month. Burry closed his. It's getting crazy, guys. And again, we've had, the Democrats, the shutdown, one of the reasons they pushed it was to cause the collapse. It didn't happen. One of the reasons is because I think Trump's policies are much stronger than they anticipated. But at the same time, we have to have a market crash at some point to clear it out. Again, I keep saying it, and I'm going to keep saying it till it happens. I don't know if we're there yet, but it sure looks like we might be. It sure looks like this could be the beginning. unless there's some majorly good news on the horizon in the next couple weeks, this could be a very, very ugly November, December into the new year. BAM's models are flashing major warning signs. We'll see what happens, but I'm just telling you guys, get ready because anything's possible. Now, again, for anybody who gets scared by that, just remember 2026, we'll start seeing the benefits of the tax cuts, the benefits of the deregulation. We'll start seeing the benefits of the tariffs more because of the investment coming into the U.S. will start adding up more. We're going to see the influx of the World Cup being held here. The biggest sporting event in the world will be in America next year. That's a massive stimulus. And then there's going to be a lot of money spent on celebrations for the 250th anniversary. Next year, Main Street could have its best year in a very long time while Wall Street gets killed, at least for a portion of it. We might see those two diverge, which would be the first time we've seen in a very long time, which is good. We actually want to see the financial aspect of our system, the finance bros who've been robbing us all. We want to see them get theirs go down, and this would give the chance to reform the markets. Lots of good stuff could come out of it. So we'll see what happens. It could be really good. It's just Robbie. What's going on? It says cancer's everywhere in the CIA too. Amen. In police departments, Freemasons pretending to add value to the equation. Yeah, there's still some of that for sure. I will tell you the Freemasons have very much, they've gotten a lot smaller over the years, but there's other stuff going on that's very dark and sinister. And, there's still definitely a big Freemason thing. Don't get me wrong. Alan Krentz says a market correction. Yeah, it's a market correction, but we might get more than a correction. We might get an all-out crash. We might. And I say might because we might not. It might just be a 20% correction. It might be a 40% correction, which they'd probably call a crash. But BAM's model the other day showed a 90% possibility in the S&P. Now, I don't think that's going to happen. And he shouts out his possibilities just to let everybody know what he's seeing could possibly happen. He's not predicting it, but his model's very good. And the last few days and weeks, it's been tracking Bitcoin almost to the dollar daily and doing other great stuff with the model. So BAM, he's a friend of mine. I'm always talking about his stuff. He's great. He does great work. His model is the best I've ever seen. I continue to hold his stuff in high regard. Let's go through a couple quick things real quick. New York Times is going all out along with the Republicans. Ted Cruz just got reported today. He's gearing up for another presidential run. Good luck, Ted. You're going to get smoked. Nobody wants to vote for you. But that came out today. We get this New York Times story, J.D. Vance idling at the edges of American politics. They're trying to make J.D. Vance look like a crazy person. Again, I called this out now 2.5, 3 weeks ago. It was when I first did it, I think it was 2.5 weeks ago. The PSYOP going on to destroy J.D. Vance ahead of time. Yeah, it's still going on. It's already peaked because it's not as loud as it was, but this one will probably come in waves over the next couple years unless MAGA gets back together and stamps it out quick. But right now, they can see, at least from the online chatter, there is some dissension and demoralization in the Republican Party, especially the MAGA side of things. And they're trying to use it to take out J.D. Vance because he terrifies them. Because when J.D. comes in with as well-spoken as he is, being a true believer, I've talked about this before, he will smoke them out. They got Whitney Webb out there pushing the whole technocrat story on J.D. Vance with his complete BS nonsense with no evidence to support it, whatever, except for some circumstantial stuff. Again, he knew somebody. It's basically her evidence. But you see this picture? Who does this remind you of? The hair going a little wild, the open mouth, the black glove. This is a Hitler picture, folks. This is a Hitler picture. And they're already trying to push this And Glenn Greenwald says it perfectly. He says, this is what the Democrats are going to start saying. Look, we had disagreements with Trump, but he kept the crazies on the fringes. That's what they say about Reagan now. The really dangerous extremist is J.D. Vance. Trump is a responsible patriot. That's what they'll start saying because it's going to move on to the next guy, next man up. They are so scared of this guy because they also know he's got a good two terms ahead of him. As J.D. Vance is going to be riding on the momentum of the economic foundation Trump is laying. And I think JD will be in charge of shifting our culture more. And actually, under him, I believe the country will come more together. We're never going to completely come together again as Americans the way it was in the past. It's going to take decades to heal that if it's possible at all. And there's always been crazies, so they just weren't as loud before because there wasn't the internet. But so that's always going to be different. But I really believe we're going to see a much more chill. If we can get him in, guys, that's when things get much better for the long term. We need Trump to finish his job. But you can tell, I mean, when they go after somebody this hard 3 years before his election would start, you know he's dangerous to them. Again, it's just like the whole Candace Owens thing. Oh, the Jews go after whoever talks against them. Well, then why are you guys more successful than anybody else? Actions speak louder than words. Everybody out there saying, it's like all the wrong people are the ones right now gearing up to try to take out J.D. Vance. And that tells you that tells you all you need to know. All you need to know. He's a master debater. J.D. Vance in Tulsi would be great. I'm 95% sure it's going to be J.D. and Rubio, which will also be great. Because Rubio is MAGA. He wasn't neocon, but I don't think he was ever deep state. I think he was neocon and he was kind of duped into it because he was young. And that's kind of what the Republican Party was at that time. But Marco's a true believer. And that's why Trump trusted him, and it's worked out really well for him. But it'll also be the way to unite the Republican Party again going forward, because there's always going to be that faction of the Republican Party that's a little more war-loving, but J.D. Vance will keep that in check. In fact, J.D. Vance is one of the biggest names behind keeping Trump balanced and on the war stuff, to keep Trump remembering these are the lines we don't want to cross as far as getting troops in and stuff. And JD is one of the strongest advocates of anti-war. So we don't have to worry about the neocons taking over again, but you get somebody like Vance or like Rubio's VP, you'll get a lot of the Republicans who are more traditional Republicans. You'll get them very excited to vote. And unfortunately, in order to win elections, you have to build coalitions. You really do. And since we'll be coming off of 4 years of Trump and not 4 years of Biden, see, the 4 years of Biden were so miserable. It set Trump up to have a much more fringe presidency with his cast of characters. So that's how you got RFK in there. You get J.D. Vance, who's, an unproven politician over time. He's still young. Trump was able to bring a lot more of that in than he would have been able to do in a regular year. But we'll be coming off of 4 years of Trump. And so JD's going to have to really, really be smart in building the coalition to win. And I believe he will, and I believe it'll be great. Rumdog says, if you have a 401k, you might want to go ultra conservative. Bushido says, is this why Nick goes after Vance? You mean Fuentes? Fuentes, Candace, Ian Carroll, Whitney Webb, all those types out there. And there's others. I just can't think of their names off the top of my head, but They all push the same BS technocrat narrative about JD. The same narrative the deep state wants you to believe, the same narrative the Democrats want you to believe, the same narrative the neocons want you to believe. Listen, when you're on the side of the New York Times op-ed page putting up BS like this, you're on the wrong side of history. And that's not a hard thing to figure out these days. Hasn't been a hard thing to figure out for 20, 30 years. The New York Times has been crazy for a long time now. Yeah. So if you're on the side pushing that nonsense with the New York Times, you're not one of the good guys. I'm sorry. You're not thinking for yourself. You are part of the problem. And unfortunately, those people who say they're America first, we're the real America firsts. Those people, this is how you have tells. See, one of the reasons I like calling this stuff out is because I know a lot of the tells now. I know a lot of the tells on the influencers when they're actually grifters, shills, whatever you want to call them, sellouts, feds, whatever, Again, sometimes their motive isn't the same, but their end game is usually close to the same. And that is ruin MAGA, because the MAGA movement's the only thing that can get America back to what it was, a true country, or what it was meant to be. A country of the people, by the people, for the people. MAGA's the only hope for that. There is no other hope. There's no one else. There's might be people who have the principles just as well, but they have no power or influence. And so MAGA is the only hope. It's what God gave us. It's what we're going to work with. J.D. Vance is the successor to this. He's a successor to Trump. He's brilliant. He's the perfect successor. You couldn't have created a better successor in a lab, honestly, because he's got strengths where Trump doesn't, and he's young, and he, in some ways, is more of even a true. I've already talked about all this before, but MTG might be running in 2028. Good luck. She won't get 5%. MTG is about to be ruined and exposed. But anyways, the point is that all those people, just one of the tells always is who are they aligning with, and who are they, when they say they're America first, but they're giving you the same narratives the Democrats are giving you or the media is giving you, that tells you what you need to know. Speaking of MTG, Alan, Pierce Morgan threw this out today. Why did you cancel our interview at the last minute, Marjorie Taylor Greene? So why would I share this little post? Because it's interesting. Marjorie Taylor Greene has been all over the place lately. She's been doing a lot of lefty shows. The View, CNN, apologizing on CNN for being such a meanie. And then Trump calls her out. I don't know how many of you guys remember this, but Marjorie Taylor Greene is not who you think she is. She's had great moments, but she's also done a lot of stuff that just makes you either go, huh? Or I don't think you're who you say you are. Case example number one, her major affair she had in 2022 with the gym guy that led to her divorce, very public. That's not very America first, like the values we usually see, but okay, that can happen. Whatever, even though it was like a weird situation. There's a lot of weirdness to that, but okay, whatever. How about supporting Kevin McCarthy, the super rhino Republican Speaker of the House, and helping with all that and running against MAGA and all that, supporting McCarthy over what Trump was trying to do with Johnson? That was strange. How about siding with Thomas Massie with the Epstein Files release and standing in front and getting a photo op in front of a sign that says Trump's a pedo? That's kind of strange. Wouldn't you be a little more careful? But throw all that aside. Why is she the one trying to make nice right now with the left? Why is she going out there trying to make a big deal about how Trump's agenda is really not getting done and how, right? These people who try to play both sides, they poison the well. They poison the well more. And when Trump goes full on against somebody, it's one of two things. It's either kayfabe, the whole wrestler thing, pretending to be enemies, kind of like him and Elon last summer, or he's finally putting you on blast to get rid of you. And he's making everybody finally pay attention to you in a new way. And once that happens, your career is pretty much done. So Marjorie Taylor gone. There you go. Bushido says, you can be wrong and lose your focus. Do I think they're feds? All those people I was just talking about, I think Ian Carroll 100%. Or I won't say anybody 100%. 95%. Fuentes, 75%. And Whitney Webb, 85%. Yeah. Candace, 50. I think it's just as possible Candace just trying to enrich herself. So, no problem, Cindy. You can check in later. I talk about these people a lot, though. Bushido says, if Nick Fuentes was president tomorrow, he couldn't drop Israel even if he wanted to. He couldn't get more illegal immigrants out of the country than what Trump. That's the other thing. A lot of the things Trump's doing that they're criticizing him on, it's not that he's not doing it. It's that it's going slower than they'd like. But that's because there's processes and manpower. And that's something that you're just always going to run up against. We live in a republic, which means rule by law. So there's always processes and regulations and laws to everything. And you have to do it. You can't just come in and be king, even though that's what everybody seems to want these days. Why does Ann Coulter hate so much? Hate so much what? Could you clarify more? Let's keep going. This was just funny. That's Trump being Trump. Here, let's just get a laugh because we've been going through it. I just had to share this because it made me laugh.
While other politicians fly around on campaign planes stocked with expensive catering, on Trump Force One, prior to ascending to Air Force One, which is quite a nice plane also, we served only McDonald's almost every time. On occasion, we couldn't find one, which is pretty hard to believe. We'd go another route. But we really did. You fed us very well. And I even got Bobby Kennedy to eat a Big Mac. And he told me he loved it. He didn't want that publicized. He told me he loved it. I thought it was great.
You guys remember that picture of RFK on the campaign where it just looks like he was just caught like in a crime holding that Big Mac? Yeah, that's what they were talking about. Anyways, hilarious stuff. So good. This is crazy. So Trump just tweeted this out, or truthed this out tonight. Congratulations to the world on the incredible vote of the UN Security Council just moments ago. Endorsed the Board of Peace chaired by me. Very interesting. Go down as one of the biggest approvals in the history of the United Nations. Will lead to further peace all over the world. Moment of true historic proportion. And look, he thanks the countries on the Security Council: China, Russia, France, UK, Algeria, Denmark. They're all of them. But also backed by Qatar, Egypt, United Arab Emirates, Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, Indonesia, Turkey, and Jordan. This is crazy. The Board of Peace chaired by Trump. Did Trump, seriously, is he telling us that he just took over the United Nations? I don't know. I don't know what to think of this. But I'm definitely going to be following this closely. It seems to me like Trump not only just took over the United Nations, but he might be actually turning it into what it was always meant to be, which is about a peaceful coalition promoting peace everywhere instead of the globalist nonsense it became, where banker-led, just do whatever is good for the bankers. So that's pretty crazy. That's pretty crazy. Does Ann Coulter? I don't know. Coulter is a troll. I love her. She's brilliant, but she's a troll. So I think sometimes she's angry at stuff and she'll just let it out. I really don't have much else to say on that. I don't think Coulter's bad necessarily. She's led to a lot of good stuff. I think she's like a less talented Rush Limbaugh, where Rush was always positive and knew how to steer the Republicans with his optimism, even when he was negative. Ann Coulter she's brilliant, but she is mean. And I think that's how it just comes out. But I just think I don't think much else of Anne other than that. Wish her hair looked as good as JD's. All right, and last thing tonight, just showing you guys again. My title today was how everything is not real. Well, this is crazy. Stephen Miller just putting it out there tonight that 40% of those living in New York City's rent-controlled homes are foreign-born. 40%. You know, guys, we're going to be finding out that the illegal immigration situation in our country, and even the illegal when it comes to sanctuary, people who came here for sanctuary, H-1Bs, that they have taken up so much of our wealth, and a lot of our welfare is tied up in them. A lot of way more than we ever thought, our health care. And now we're finding out like the housing, obviously, which we talked a little bit about, but even getting into the rent controlled places, that's crazy. So it's never talked about except for places like here where I occasionally talk about it. But part of Trump's economic plan is getting rid of all these immigrants who have come in and not produced, not integrated, but instead sat on their butts, milking off our welfare system, off our immigrant programs, and still waving their flags saying Viva la Mexico, you know, or whatever country they're from. And, you know, I love immigrants. I think my dad was an immigrant. Okay. Immigrated here from Austria. I think it's an amazing thing, but you know, I was raised being the first generation born in America from an immigrant family. I was raised to love this country, to cherish it, to believe in what it is, to be a part of that, to fight for her. And never once did my dad talk about Austria being the homeland, anything like that. It was like, no, we chose this as our home. I don't even speak German, you know. It's like it's integrate, become a part of it, and cherish it. And those immigrants, I don't care where they're from, if they come here and they want to be productive and they want to be American, God bless you. Let's see if we can figure this out. But all the others who just came here to live on the dole, to steal from our people, to make things harder for us, get them all out. And speaking back to Ann Coulter, she did a wonderful piece on this about how deportations, mass deportations, getting this cleaned up will be part of the massive economic boom. And so when you put that together with the lowest or the biggest tax cuts in modern history, the biggest deregulation program in modern history, the reshoring and fixing trade deficits from the tariffs, and then whatever else Trump's going to do as he's navigating all these different things all the time, guys, and repurposing the government's money into actual productive projects, I should say. That all sets us up for an economic boom that could last a decade or longer in the future, as long as we stay the course. And it could also reset us in a way. If we get far enough down that road, it could reset us enough where it'd be very difficult to undo it again. All we need is 5 to 10 really good years with good policy in the right direction to create a momentum that would take decades to unravel. Just like how we got here this time, it took decades to unravel what America was before, starting in 1913 with all that stuff, and it you know, and peaking in the Biden administration. So that's 100+ years it took to get that far. Anyways, all right, love you guys. I do block accounts as much as I can, bad ones. Isn't that Board of Peace thing wild, Strayhorn? Pam Hayes says MTG is so short-sighted she doesn't realize that Trump's work abroad will pay dividends into the future. Amen. Yeah. I think she might not be very smart. Well, she's very smart. Well, I should say this. She might not be very smart in like that sense, But that woman is clever. She's very clever. She's very opportunistic. Oh, that's another thing with MTG, Marjorie Taylor Greene. She's one of the most highly renowned inside traders on Wall Street. I mean, not Wall Street, on Washington, D.C. So there you go. Can you trust an insider trader? Heard Manhattan might break away from NYC. Now that would be crazy. We'll see. There's going to be a lot of interesting things coming out of this when Mamdani gets in. Yeah, you're right, Bushidoki, about the immigrants. Immigrant friend that immigrated from India. Yeah, I mean, it owns tobacco shops, and that's fine. As long as they're not like just trying to build their own little India, which I sometimes see. That always bothers me. But I do, most of them are good. I work with one. She's great, I should say. And her husband's great too. But anyways, listen, love you guys. This is a long show. Had a lot to talk about tonight. We're going to have to, we are awake now. That's right, Bushidoki. We're awake, and we'll get more awake going forward as more and more exposure comes, which is we still got a lot to go. So anyways, guys, we need to drop out, say a prayer. Yeah, please like, subscribe. I appreciate it. Share, especially if you're on X and you can just hit that repost. I appreciate it. But yeah, get it out there. Thanks for supporting the show, guys. I greatly appreciate you. So let's pray and get out of here and get to bed. It's only Monday. Got a long week ahead. So Heavenly Father, thank you for today. God bless everybody watching. God bless our country, Lord. And I just pray a blessing over Trump and his team, wisdom, boldness, and protection, Lord, in Jesus' name. For our country, Lord, we pray for justice, prosperity, peace. And I just thank you for everything that's happening. I thank you that exposure keeps happening more and more, that light is shining on dark places. I pray that continues. I pray the Epstein Files, God, that just moves smoothly, and it just completely opens up a can of worms that enemies of this country are not prepared to handle. And I just pray that momentum fully comes back, God. And I just look forward to seeing what we can do this next year. Bless everybody here. I pray for their health, their wealth, their relationships, Lord. And God, just that every one of us would be stirred to do whatever we can to be a part of saving this country and rebuilding it better than ever. In Jesus' name, amen. All right. Love you guys. Have a wonderful night. I'll see some of you in the Discord tonight. Oh, not tonight. I'm going to bed tomorrow.